Somewhere in the world, between spoken and unspoken, there's a saying. I don't know who carries the sentiment forward of I'm walking for four. Four spelled F, which is two sides of the argument, and hour, O-U-R. With my whatever I was born with. I'm watching the CBS This Morning after the State of the Union. I see that they put on South Dakota. Did not know what his face looked like. But he brings encouraging words. Since the messenger that he's addressing and that's speaking is wearing all the wrong colors and inside and infiltrated into all the correct arguments, but has manipulated it in such a way that when she speaks, it no longer is a pure, virtuous message for walking for four. So that gets confusing. I don't know who said the communications should just be opened up, and it messes with time and space and what planetary needs. I mean, there's in autocracy and aristocrat. It is certain who I was built for and who I was. It's automatically assumed and known. Do not lock this girl in a room in New York and allow any of the upcoming events to happen to her. That's automatically known and assumed to get me to where I need to be, with whom I need to be, in a timely fashion. But instead, I've been locked in this whatever with very little opportunity, very little contact, very little anything. Now the moon is totally gone. The sun is at this high, obnoxious level. The health is horrific. My density is like I look like a bloated fish. And so this is what South Dakota at the Rock. This is my Rock. I know the WWF or WWE, whichever, they picked the wrong champion as a messenger for the wrong purpose. Just like this is the wrong message in all the wrong wrappings for what's needed in autocracy, which is I need to get to one person. Then there's democracy, which everybody's trying to hold on to, and then there's the bureaucracy in between. That's where all the spin happens for protecting the people who are trying. But that's where all the wars happen at Family Feuds in between, and then you throw money and business and opportunity in there, and that's a real shit show.
Well, that was just one of the many topics the president addressed last night. We're joined now by Republican Senator John Thune. He's from South Dakota, the Senate Minority Whip. Senator, good morning. Good to see you.
Good morning, Gail. Nice to be with you.
There did seem to be a lot of bipartisan support, bipartisan applause, certainly when it came to how the president, any comments he made about Ukraine and Russia. Do Republicans, for the most part, think he's doing a good job on this?
They do. I mean, I think a lot of Republicans would argue that they were reactive at the beginning, at the early stages, maybe didn't do enough to deter it. But I give the administration credit. I think they've done an exceptional job of rallying our allies, and we're seeing a unity that we've never seen before. The president talked about that last night. And when it comes to putting these punishing economic sanctions on.
It sounds like there was a positive in there, and then he's slipping into this sanctions on Russia, which again, I'm cutting him off before I catch that on tape. So I'm going to pause this for a second because there's another really important point that they make. It's really interesting, even in this conversation. I mean, does the senator from South Dakota know that the world is watching him with an even sharper ear for the correct message, being that he comes from a state that has the rock monument of the foundation men that this country was supposed to be built upon and are still supposed to be a leading driving force? Just curious. Because I think that message gets a little convoluted, and the consensus and democracy, like the Democrats, get a little shaken up when the senator from South Dakota is speaking to a non-family member not walking for four and is trying to blame things on Russia. Now here's real inside news of family. 2016, an attack on my person was known. It was known 10 years at least before is when I knew that they knew. But unbeknownst to me, I just go through the day waiting for whatever to get me where I need to be. And all of a sudden, now it's 2016, there's people conducting themselves however they conduct themselves, and then I get personally attacked. Now, if you look at the attack on those Ukraine buildings with those giant missiles and the way they just collapsed the entire building, forget real estate development, but that's what happened to my actual personal life. My children were torn apart, whole thing, on an individual basis. But what happens is the attack on my person, there's figurative changes that happen. My kids were taken away, my house was taken away, I was locked up for a while, I was put in back with Linda and Lou in their lunacy about how things work, and we're not built the same. We're not even from the same planet. We're not even from the same galactic alliance. And then there's another layer of the attack. Not just taking my family and my children and breaking us apart, which the same people who are responsible, and I don't necessarily think it is Putin, it's more likely something in a Saudi Arabian or mad about some scar at Family Feud. Perhaps Venezuelan, I don't really know. Somewhere in that category, it would appear that because they seem to, or Afghanistan's the war that they fought, I think that's a label that they put on what looks to be now calling itself an American in North America. I don't know how that happened. Trying to tell a story that's not theirs and interfering in all sorts of communications projects and whatnot. So now she's in Washington, D.C. today, might I add, supposedly. Supposedly that's where she's reporting from. I would have no idea. The real attack was on a biological effort that was made by the same, I'm assuming, the same people who are now attacking the Ukraine buildings, as kind of a message of this is what we did to your autocracy or to your person that was a sure cosmic set with others. I mean, they make it all Candyland on the whatever, but they're not fooling me. It's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza. It's Earth, solar system, Milky Way universe. Galaxy is broken. It's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361.